Hi, it's Katrina.
The Morland Interchange. Have you ever found yourself navigating a labyrinth of asphalt and confusion? Well, the people of Atlanta certainly have. The Morland Interchange, that's located northeast of Atlanta, is one of the most confusing intersections on the planet. It's a major traffic corridor that's known properly as a stack interchange. There are 5 different stacks, with ramps climbing over other ramps in a dizzying labyrinth of concrete and asphalt. About 300,000 vehicles twist through its winding passages each day. There are 14 bridges, the highest of which rises 90 feet above the ground. And for those who have never driven through the interchange before, it can be a harrowing experience. Although its real name is the Morland Interchange, named after the former commissioner of the Georgia Department of Transportation, most people know it as Spaghetti Junction. The origin of the nickname can be traced back to traffic reporter Dave Straub. In the middle of construction, Dave flew over the interchange in a helicopter and said it looked like an overturned bowl of spaghetti. The name stuck, and all these years later, Spaghetti Junction is a major Atlanta landmark, one that cost around $179 million to make. And now for number 9. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Riding Rough and Stuart McAdam. Thanks so much for watching and supporting Origins Explained. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and join the family. The Sorcerers Roundabout. If you've ever driven through England, you'll know the country is obsessed with roundabouts. Everywhere you look, there are roundabouts instead of intersections. And it seems to work well enough for the English. Although 4-way intersections are the norm in North America, experts have claimed they are about 75% deadlier than roundabouts. Driving in a circle instead of stopping at an intersection has been proven to make traffic move more fluidly and to reduce accidents. Did you know that? It's impossible to T-bone someone when you have to drive in a circle. In England, there's a certain roundabout that bears a closer resemblance to a perilous hazard or a chaotic circus ring than a place one would willingly navigate. It's located in Swindon, with locals referring to it as the Magic Roundabout. It's such an unusual creation that it seems as if it works by some weird road sorcery. The brilliance of this design lies in its ability to provide motorists with a broader array of choices as they navigate the roundabout, thereby reducing the chances of 2 vehicles colliding. In Swindon, the Magic Roundabout has 7 layers. Instead of one circle where everybody moves through the roundabout, there are 7 circular lanes to choose from. You can enter the Magic Roundabout from one of 5 points. Aim your car at where you want to go and follow whichever line you want to be in. You can cut across all the circles if you want, as long as there's nobody blocking you. Then you exit at one of the 5 points. Watching this circle in action is baffling and no doubt would be beyond confusing for anyone who had never used it before, but locals use it just fine, saying it was a brilliant solution to their day-to-day traffic problems. Do you think you would be able to handle it? The Chongqing Interchange. The Chongqing Interchange has been called the most complex interchange that can be found anywhere in the world. China's incredible new overpass is 12 stories tall and goes on for 10 miles. The interchange includes 20 different roads, making it a truly humongous piece of infrastructure. Looking at the piece of modern roadwork from the sky, or even from one of the roads, it looks like a twisting Hot Wheels track. It could easily be mistaken for a confounding roller coaster ride. Construction of the interchange came about for a few reasons. The nearby city of Chongqing is home to about 8 million people. The region was desperately in need of a way to connect the city, the airport, and the expressway. The result was 5 levels of roads moving in 8 different directions. There are 15 ramps to get on and off the interchange, with its highest point 12 stories above the lowest road at ground level. Construction began in 2009, with the most major parts being finished and open to the public in 2017. But what happens if you get on the wrong road when you enter the Chongqing Interchange? It might seem like you'd end up driving for miles with nowhere to turn around, but according to officials in charge of the project, it's easy to find your way out. Even if you go the wrong way, you can turn around in less than a mile. Most roads have options to correct wrong turns, which is amazingly helpful. It might be the most complicated overpass ever built, but there are enough signs to give people a pretty good idea of where they're going. Houston 5-stack interchange. Houston's 5-stack interchange between Interstate 10 East, Interstate 610, and US 90 is so insanely big that it's the same size as an entire Italian city center. The bizarre comparison was recently made by Michael Hendricks from the Manhattan Institute. He pointed out on Twitter that the interchange is roughly the same size as the city center of Siena. Siena's historical downtown core is home to roughly 30,000 people. So essentially, Michael was saying that the Houston interchange is a major waste of space, because if it was used differently, it could hold 30,000 people. Instead, this space is used as a labyrinth of overpasses and off-ramps. On the surface, it seems like Michael was making a logical point. It would be nicer to use space to house 30,000 people instead of moving cars around. The people who live in Siena don't really need cars because they can walk everywhere. But it's only a logical point if you don't think about it too hard. The histories of Houston and the ancient Italian town are wildly different. Siena was founded thousands of years ago, dating back to when ancient Rome made the first roads across Europe. But on the other hand, Houston was founded in 1836. Siena's population has remained stable for centuries. The Houston area started as a small town, and the population has ballooned by a factor of almost 20 since 1940. Then, the rise of the automobile industry led to a massive population spike in the city. The preposterously big interchanges in Houston are an unfortunate necessity. What many people don't realize is that during the Cold War era, urban design philosophy in the US was all about preventing nuclear disasters. Already urbanized cities like New York and Philadelphia were seen as susceptible to nuclear strikes. So when it came to building the city of Houston, designers wanted to spread it out to deter an attack by Soviet Russia. The highways facilitated the urban sprawl, and today, as Houston continues to grow, the enormous interchanges grow with it. The comparison between Houston's interchange and an ancient Italian city just doesn't make sense when you understand the history. The Cogswell Interchange. The downtown core of Halifax, Nova Scotia is one of the fastest-growing downtowns in North America. It's getting so big, so fast, that the city is scrambling to fix its outdated roads and intersections. One of these intersections is the Cogswell Interchange, which is currently undergoing an enormous redevelopment project at the cost of over $120 million. It's part of a larger plan by the city to grow the downtown area in order to accommodate new commercial developments. The Cogswell Interchange has been a major source of controversy in the city. It's already an irritating interchange downtown that's confusing to navigate. It's also so big and ugly that it's a huge barrier to pedestrians. Trying to walk from one side of the road to the other is a massive chore and dangerous because of how confusing the intersection is. It was built as part of a proposed scheme to make an elevated highway to run all the way through downtown. The plan came to a stop though because people in Halifax were so angry about it. Only the interchange was finished, and it was officially opened in 1970. But it's already so ugly and outdated that the whole thing is being demolished to make room for a more conventional street grid, which is set to open in 2025. The Beijing Traffic Jam. The longest traffic jam in history was 62 miles long, and it lasted a shocking 12 days. It happened in Beijing, China in August 2010, when roadwork on the Beijing-Tibet Expressway caused a traffic slowdown. Trucks carrying construction supplies became blocked at the exit and traffic congested, and vehicles were stuck for almost the next 2 weeks. But how in the world could such a thing even happen? The expressway was originally intended to be used only by trucks, but as the population of China spiked, especially in Beijing, there were way more vehicles on the road. The traffic and the construction vehicles supposedly reduced the capacity on the highway by 50%, and there were no off-ramps or interchanges to alleviate the congestion, so people were sitting ducks. It was reported that some people were stuck in their cars for up to 6 consecutive days. Traffic only moved at less than a mile per day, and it was a tough situation because people who just wanted to go to work ended up camping in their vehicles. What would you do if you got stuck in a 12-day traffic jam? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Mescal Square. Mescal Square in the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa has been called the most chaotic intersection on the globe. The intersection can only really be described as a nightmare. It doesn't have any lights, and there isn't a roundabout. There are also no rules. People move through the intersection at will in a flurry of honking and shouting, so it's not surprising that it's one of the major hotspots for accidents in the African capital. Being a pedestrian here is like playing Frogger. People will walk diagonally across the intersection and jump out of the way of cars. It's a total free-for-all, but one that some traffic experts think is better than an intersection with regulations. Dutch traffic engineer Hans Monderman theorized that without regulations and lights, drivers are forced to pay more attention to what's happening around them. He said that no regulations can increase driving skills and decrease accidents. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Birmingham Spaghetti Junction. England might be most famous for its roundabouts, but not even the British can escape the necessity of the Stack Interchange. Birmingham has its own spaghetti junction, just like the ones in Houston and the Morland Interchange in Atlanta. At this spot where the M6, A38, and A5127 meet, there is a twisting conglomeration of roads and exits. Its proper name is the Gravelly Hill Interchange, and it was opened in 1972. The raised motorway is suspended on 600 giant concrete columns. The whole thing is carried on a viaduct that's 3.5 miles long, traveling over canals and old railway lines. Birmingham's Spaghetti Junction was the last piece of the big motorway that was installed in the 1960s. When the network came to Birmingham, it completely transformed the local area. This had been a quiet piece of rural Britain, but the road turned it into a deafening highway. The Judge Harry Prigerson Interchange. This interchange is a truly megalithic piece of modern engineering in California. The interchange has Metro C line tracks, express lanes, and works with just about every mode of transportation in the Los Angeles area. All of these different ways of getting around have contributed to one of the most imposing interchanges in the world. It originally opened to connect Interstate 105 with Interstate 110 in 1993. The highest point on the interchange is situated 130 feet above the ground. Seen from the air, the interchange looks like a monster. It stretches off into the distance like a concrete river, and the interchange's exits branch off in every direction. As imposing as it might be, it's still a brilliant piece of engineering. Motorists enter the interchange on the freeway from all possible directions, and almost all the ramps are direct and can be driven at the fastest mainline speeds. You don't even need to slow down, you just keep driving. Speaking of speed, that's the one thing the interchange is best known for. Right before the interchange opened, filmmakers were allowed to use it for the 1994 movie Speed. They had the whole thing to themselves to film the movie. The scene where the bus jumped across the unfinished gap was done on what's currently the directional ramp from Interstate 105 WB to Interstate 110 NB. Then, in 2015, the left connector ramps were closed for a weekend to film La La Land. Nanoo Bridge Highway Interchange. Shanghai's Nanoo Bridge Highway Interchange is very similar to the massive stack interchanges of America, but with one key difference. It's also a bridge. It was the first bridge to connect Shanghai with Pudong on the other side of the Huangpu River. This was a big deal because prior to its opening in 1991, the only way to cross the river was by boat. Shanghai was a prosperous place in the 1970s and 1980s. There was a lot of wealth in the city, and lots of people lived in the area to enjoy that wealth. But just on the other side of the river in the Pudong district, people were poor. They weren't able to get from Shanghai to Pudong, so there was no good way to share all that wealth. People had to take a ferry across, which was annoying. A bridge linking the two districts was a dream that many people didn't think would happen. Rumors of a bridge being built started in the 1920s. Then, in 1975, the Songpu Bridge opened, but it was too far from the central area of the city and didn't really help the busy traffic on the river. So, in 1986, the Nanoo Bridge project was approved. In 1990, the Chinese government decided to make Pudong District the next major development area. When the bridge was finished being built, things really started to pick up for people across the river from Shanghai. Both districts saw a massive increase in their economic development. The bridge still stands today as an impressive construct of steel and concrete. It's a cable-stayed bridge and the fourth biggest of its kind in the world. It even has sidewalks on both sides so that people can walk across. Thanks for watching! Have you ever braved any of these intersections before? If so, tell us all about it! And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. See you soon! Bye!